still remember the days where I was, eating tuna cans and you struggle through those times, making cash flow, trying to make ends meet. And then one day, someone comes along and, gives you a formal offer. Is this for real?
Being in the business for that long, it becomes part of your identity. That's who I am. When that's gone, who am I? Contrary to what some people might believe, it's not always fun. The freedom you imagine we have, that doesn't exist. That is a figment of your imagination, my dear friends. It's not real.
And that's all I think about, like trying to maximise the potential of staff, giving it the margins so that you do build an asset. The asset will eventually come if you build it away from you and not seeing it as dependent on you.
This is a great accidental segue into part of what we were going to talk about, because we had the benefit of talking to you previously and hearing your journey through and all the battles that took you to get to what I call the little empire today. And the privilege of seeing you now with the opportunity to come out on a different end.
Yeah.
Because somebody's looking to buy you.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is really cool, right?
It is.
And did you ever imagine that would be the case when you started out? I mean, you probably were just so occupied in survival mode.
I'll tell you what, never came to my mind. I mean, you obviously want one day to have the exit, but you don't think it would come, and you're so in the business, you're just operating the business, you're trying to get through day to day, and then finally the day comes, and it's mixed emotions. So it's
unpack that for me, Alan.
I think that part, it's you're happy, but you're bittersweet. I think it's because it's your baby. Like you built it from the ground up, and you see this business, like it starts off like as if it's an infant. You struggle. I still remember the days where I was, eating tuna cans and just those 99-cent tuna cans from Coles and Woolies, and you struggle through those times, making cash flow, trying to make ends meet, and then one day, someone comes along and gives you a formal offer, and you're just like, is this for real? It's good. It's freaking surprising, bloody happy, but then at the same time you're like, oof, would you let this go? And you have to think about, is there more room to grow, or do you continue, or do you, like you said, one day, do you let the business go? And you decide you let the business go. So it's mixed emotions. I'm going to say positive, and also you see what you built and just never imagine it. So, but it's great. It's hard to describe. I still can't. I think the only part that I could say to you, Hanif, is it's a sense of relief. I think the stress that comes off your shoulders when you're in the business, you don't realise how stressed you are, how you forget you've lost sight of the goal of why you started the business in the first place. Well, my goal at the beginning of starting this business was just to be financially free, and when you're in the business for that long, you just forget. You're just running the day to day of the business. You're managing staff and inventory and whatnot, and you just forget that there's a bigger picture. You just lose sight of it. And I think people forget that. I think people, when you're so stressed in the business, you just forget that why you started that business. And for me, it was just a sense of relief, going, wow, there's actually more for you to do. There's more time to try different things, experiment with different things, which is exciting. I'm looking forward to that next chapter.
How long did it take you to make the decision to say, actually, I'll sell?
It's been probably a year and a half. Probably a year and a half. So I was just kind of tossing and turning between whether you should continue. And you look at the growth of the business and you think, is there more opportunity to grow? And I think that's the part that, that you don't want to let go of, because you want to see, when you build a business, you're the builder, and you see this business like start from nothing, and you want to see it go on to as big as you can get it to. And, you wonder, did you leave opportunities on the table? Did you leave more growth, more even profits? But you one day you get to it and you go, yeah, I think it's time to let go. And it did take me that long because we had so many opportunities to grow around Latin America, around Mexico. And these were just, for me, they were just wonderful opportunities for up for grabs. And then you essentially let the buyer seize those opportunities. But you never know what they want to do. They might have different intentions, but it's up to them.
It's up. So I can see the emotion still in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me test something. I've always grounded that being in the business for that long, it becomes part of your identity. So that relationship and the tie to the business isn't just, we talk about I've grown that baby, and I go, well, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's real. I think that's just how we describe it because we don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
I think it is, and that's why I want to check this with you, I think that's so much part of my identity. That's who I am. When that's gone, who am I?
Absolutely.
And what do I do? And who am I?
Yeah.
So, which is a existential thing, right?
Absolutely. It's something that I've been pondering about, actually, because when you spent good 10 years in the business, it's become who you are.
Yeah.
It defines a big part of you because you still remember the day when you started the business. Like you said, you feel like it's grown from a baby to wherever it is today. And you start to wonder, what do you do after? Because you never had that time to go and explore. I shouldn't say you don't have that time to explore. Because you're so embedded in the business that you don't go and try other things and experiment as much as you would like. And that's still a question to ponder, going ahead. I mean, there's still plenty of experiments that I'm doing, as you know, and I'm doing quite a fair few things. But it's now given me that opportunity, that headspace to go, okay, I can have a bit of fun with this now that there's a bit of firepower with going on to a new project. So that's exciting. That part excites me in terms of what's ahead. I mean, with AI and all of those things, plenty of opportunity for everyone.
Oh, massive. Let's not go there. Where's my box?
Yeah. Look, there's so many things, right?
You and I love that space.
Absolutely.
And it's a brilliant future for anybody who has a head full of thoughts and could never implement them all because I don't have the time, the resources, the money.
That's right.
Enter the new world. Dude, you could do them all.
Absolutely.
And concurrently, that's a beautiful thing about it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to come back to this identity thing. And the reason I want to talk about it is I think there are a lot of people in business that I see where there are two things that either are left too late, and then undiscovered. And one is, and most of us don't do this, build the business and understand what the balance sheet looks like so that somebody on the other side can say, hey, there's value in that. I'll pay for it. Because the business isn't you.
That's right.
The idea is you leave the business. I mean, you might be there for a while for handover, but you leave the business. So the value can't be you.
That's right.
If it's you, the value is zero.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Because nobody can monetize you because you walk away.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how do you build value into your business? I think that's one thing that I see very little of. And some of the businesses, just by being good operating businesses, do build value in, but they don't purposely do it.
Yep.
And when we look at it, we go, well, actually, if we take another year and don't sell it yet, do this, this and this, we'll double the value in your business.
Absolutely.
So there's that piece, and I want to ask you a couple of questions around that. And then there is the emotional thing. Because if we said we're building a business and as much as we get an income and dividends and things, which is great because you do put your ass on the line in a business, right?
Yeah.
So my belief is you should get rewarded for your risk because not all businesses work.
That's right.
And you're risking everything.
That's right.
The employee comes in, they get paid a salary or a wage, but they're not risking their home and their family to do it. So you had different risk-reward ratio.
Yep.
So I go, that's great. But while you're spending 80 hours a week building that business or more, when your family doesn't see you, when you miss out with your kids growing up and all the things that go with it, right? The way I look at it is, well, we're investing that time in growing an asset, and like all assets, there's got to be return on investment.
Absolutely.
So if I don't put some time and effort into thinking around how do I build the value of that asset, then what have I got it for? It just becomes a vehicle for me to replace a wage and maybe get some dividends. You know, it's not. I don't think you maximise your opportunity, and I don't criticise anybody who doesn't think like that because I never used to either, by the way. And most of us, I don't think, automatically do.
Yeah.
But I'd like to encourage people to start to think about there's another dimension to this, and if I put effort into it, doesn't mean more time. It means different thinking. So switch my thinking, don't add additional time. The value of my asset, which is a business, goes up. And then along the way, if I start to understand who am I, what do I really want, what happens is you decouple your identity from the business. And it makes it much easier come the time of, all right, I'm ready to sell. You're selling an asset now.
Yeah.
You're not selling you.
That's right.
Like you're not selling, but who am I? Because that's where a lot of the commercial issues when we're doing transactions come from. Is the owner is so wedded to, or his identity or her identity is so wedded to this business, they really don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
Oh, but I want more. And why?
Yeah.
Oh, it's worth more. And half the time they don't even, that's what they're saying. It's not what they feel and mean.
Yeah.
What they really mean is, I'm not ready to let go.
Yeah. That's right.
So, sorry, that was a really long spiel to ask you a couple of rather big questions. One is, at any point in your journey, were you looking at the business as an asset that you need to build value in? And then at what point, it sounds to me as if you discovered, actually, the business is part of my identity.
Yeah.
And what did that even look like and feel like?
Yeah, so actually that's a good question, Hanif. So I was reflecting on that moment. I still remember when the business was just me, and I think about that moment where if I wanted to sell that business, it wouldn't have been worth anything because it was just me. And then one day I just me and my wife, we took a holiday, took a month holiday, and the business just couldn't run by itself without me. And that's when I realised, geez, you need to actually build out the systems in place to ensure that it could run without you. And that's when things were starting to, the cogs were turning in my head during the holidays, and I wasn't really on holidays anymore at that point because I was thinking, okay, how am I going to build this? I was thinking about the mechanics of the business, of what's involved, how to build out each particular part of the business. And that was fascinating. That's when you get the reinvigorated growth, like that energy back into wanting to be back in the business, because there's times where you're just slaving away and you just don't want to do it because the business is just you. And it took that holiday, and I remember writing down in a journal just each part of the business, the major pieces of the business, and starting, okay, what do I need to do? And you could see for a whole year, I systematized the whole business and just writing SOPs. There was no ChatGPT at the time, no nothing. It's just everything was on Google Sheets and whatnot, and you're just writing out, okay, this is what we'll do, this is how I'll do it. And then eventually you get your next employee or your VA to write out, improve those procedures, and this is what you would do differently, this is how you'd improve it. And it took actually quite a fair amount of time to turn that business into an asset.
How long do you think?
I reckon it took a good 6 years. Trying to, it seems easy on paper. You think, okay, this is what you need to do. You write it out, you hash it all out, and you go, this is what the business should look like. But when you start executing on it, there's all these other problems. And you're just like one after another. But that's what a business is, right? It's trying to solve problems along the way. And like people say, you're building a boat as you go, and that's what it feels like. No better way to describe it. And there's always going to be holes in your boat. You got to try patch it up along the way, and you got to identify them. You got to be quite aware. I'm going to say like awareness is probably one of the biggest things. And one of the habits that I've developed over the past few years is just sitting down every 1 day a week, and I just think about, okay, what is the business doing? What do I need to do? What are each of the 5 things I need to do each day to get it to where I want it to be? And here we are. After a good 10 years in that journey, you realise, wow, you've turned this into quite a little behemoth.
But it is constant effort, isn't it?
It is.
And
yep.
It's not set and forget. So I have
Absolutely.
these discussions with some clients sometimes where they're talking about getting management in place, and I go, yeah, that's all good. There's, we can think about this and we've got to go and do it. But you can hire the best general manager on the planet,
That's
and
right.
you can't leave them and go, I'll just walk away now.
That's right.
No, I'm afraid not.
That's right.
Everything needs a constant input of energy and some oversight.
Yep.
Otherwise, it'll turn into something that you won't recognise.
Absolutely. And it takes so long, and if you don't put in that energy, someone's going to do it and turn it into something else that you don't want. And that was always the hard part, trying to manage and steer the ship into the direction that you envisioned it to be. You as a business owner, you want it to be something, and that you just got to always go back to that point of thinking, okay, what did your business want to look like? How should it look like in 10 years and 20 years, or if you imagine that far? And that was always the hard part. There was a few years where we strayed from our goals, and you could see the business, it was doing well, but not doing as well as it could be. And that was always the hard part. And you're trying to identify these issues, where the root cause of those problems were. And it's always the most difficult part. And, it's always a challenge. It's great fun. As you look back on these journeys and you're like, that's what you went into business for. You're essentially a problem solver.
I think, that's what a great way to describe it. A lot of people don't go into the business going, I'm going to get rich.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I hear that. And I go, I don't know. You know, some people do, and they probably don't get rich. Other people go into it going, yeah, there's a problem I want to solve, and I'm not a good employee. But you've got an intense desire to go, yeah, I'll just do that myself. Because I know I can do it better, and it happens to be it solves a problem for someone else, and they'll pay me for it. Okay, great. Yeah, okay, let's grow that. And you've got your own personal things. I want a house for the family. I want to do this, and yeah, I'm not going to live forever. What does that look like? You know, all goes through your head, right? And then you end up from, I started in my garage or my bedroom to, oh, yeah, this is pretty cool. And it's what's next. Because that's part of the adventure, isn't it? Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, yeah, what else can we do? Oh, yeah, that's a problem. We can solve that problem. Oh, I'll buy that because it solves my problem. It's all problem solving, isn't it?
Yeah, essentially it is. And, you know, when you think back to when you start the business, you're essentially trying to solve a problem. And if you keep that at the heart of everything that you do, you're well on your way. I mean, when I first started, I think back to when I first started, why I started this. I was just like, you know, as an employee, it would be so hard for you to have the future that you want. The future that I wanted at the time was just, you know, so simple. It was just a house, you know, a family, and having a farm one day. And that was literally it, and just taking a holiday whenever I could. And after a while, when you see that as when you're an employee, you realise maybe I don't have enough. You know, you won't be able to do that. So you start a business, and then when you start a business, it definitely doesn't go the way it intends that you think. It doesn't go anywhere that you envision it. Like you think it would just be a linear, straight line growth of just going from, you know, starting in your bedroom, moving to some warehouse, thinking, okay, that warehouse will solve the problem. And then the first warehouse, you know, you get is too small. And that's what we have. We had this problem of, you know, not realizing that the warehouse that you get, it's funny, like I look back at this, and once you unload a 40-foot container, there was no other space for you to walk around this warehouse, and you're like, shit, I need a bigger space. And then that's when you realize, okay, you need a certain amount of space, and you solve another problem, and you think ahead of the future. So yeah, it never ends. You know, no matter how, you know, what hours, like it's the problem still. You got to go. You know, you got to solve it. And then, but I think one of those things is you get so used to the stress, and it's only until you have this opportunity to exit, or you don't even have to exit. You could just start taking time away from the business to look back and look at a business from a whole, like from, you know, 40,000 feet, and looking at it and go, okay, I'm actually quite stressed out, and where are those stresses coming from? And that's something that a lot of people don't do. You know, I wish I did that earlier.
Oh, you and me both. And even to this day, I'm more and more aware of how much stress we carry with us. Because we care.
Yep.
I think it comes from, if you don't care, your business probably won't be that successful because you don't care, right? But if you've got any form of success in your business, there's a level of stress you're permanently carrying, and it waxes and wanes. But there's always some baseline of stress.
Yeah.
And by comparison, I don't do this to belittle anybody, because some people just don't cope with the stress.
That's right.
And maybe you shouldn't actually be doing this, because contrary to what some people might believe, it's not always fun. The freedom you imagine we have, that doesn't exist. That is a figment of your imagination, my dear friends. It's not real.
Yeah.
The stress is always... We went on a holiday just under 3 weeks, which is long for us. I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. We don't relieve ourselves from that stress at all. Like, that was really apparent to me.
Yeah.
Twice a day would be checking our emails, there's stuff we're doing. We're always thinking, on the plane,
Yep.
what did I do?
Yeah.
I go, oh, cool, I can lie here, I can watch a couple of movies, it's a long flight, which I did, and I really liked it. It's almost my escape. I like the Avengers. I love superheroes, it's fun. Anyway, so I did that, and then what did I do? This Wi-Fi is awesome on the plane. It was startling. And so I took out my laptop. What did I do for 7 hours? Work.
Yeah.
Because these things are on my mind.
That's right.
And, what in the world, when you're on a holiday, would inspire you to do that? Well, when I broke it down, what I discovered is the baseline stress is there.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that I know need to be done in that business to enable my staff, to help my clients, on and on it goes. It's a problem-solving thing. Here are all the problems. I carry that with me everywhere. And the more of them I'm aware of, the more that stress goes up. So when you think about, you're a workaholic, no, it's relieving stress.
Yeah.
I spent 6 hours on the plane doing stuff, relieving my stress. That was me, right?
Yeah.
When I break it down, I go, why are you doing that? Shouldn't you be I cannot relax.
Yep.
My body does not have the ability to relax because I think human beings are wired. When you know there's something undone, you carry it.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter whether you're in business or not.
Yep.
You're a human being. I think that's real.
Yep.
And I'm saying I think because I don't know. But from everybody I talk to, you carry it's somewhere back there, right?
Yeah.
So it's not undone.
Yep.
You don't properly rest because of it. In business, varying on your level, the to-do list is enormous. And if you think it's important, it sits mid to front of mind. And that comes with a bucket of stress.
Yep.
So that 6 hours, would I have loved to relax? And I don't even know what that is.
Yep. I know. I totally understand, Hanif. When you
So, I wanted to share that,
Yeah.
because that's my experience, and I think
Yep.
whether other people articulate it or not, they probably can identify.
Yep.
But I wanted to share that also to say, hey, Alan, is that real for you?
Absolutely. I can tell you I do that on the plane as well. So we were flying to the US, and then must have been a good 1 day of, not a full day on the plane, but I spent that whole time thinking about the business, what needs to be done. And my wife was like saying, can you switch off for a sec? Can you watch a movie? And I just thought I couldn't do it because you just have so much on your mind. You just want to keep dumping it into, I was dumping it into the journal. I wrote a whole journal of things that I needed to do, what I wanted to do. You can never switch it off. That stress is always going to be there. And it's difficult to manage. Like you said, everyone's going to have a baseline stress, and it's just how you handle that stress. And, when I actually broke it all down, I just looked at the tasks that I wanted to do, all the things that did cause me stress. And each day I just wrote 3 things I'm going to do to work on those root causes of those stress. And over time, you can see the business just change, and yourself change as well, because now you got time on your hands.
Yep.
And sometimes my wife thinks I don't work at all because sometimes it's just a phone call, and that could be the point of stress. And sometimes you just see me from 6 a.m. I finish work at 8 a.m. and then the rest of the day I'm doing whatever. And my wife thinks that I'm unemployed.
It didn't happen by magic. That's an interesting way of coping with it. On my end, how I operate now, very different to the past. The question I often ask myself is, is anything going to change if I do that now as compared to in 5 hours or tomorrow? If the answer is no, and actually it's stress relieving because you go, okay, that's clearly not priority in the moment. What is priority in the moment? And that helps me to focus.
Yeah.
And then juggle the balls because you go, well, actually, that ball's way up there. It's not going to fall for a while.
Yep.
That's cool. I'll catch it way before.
Yep.
But need to watch that ball right now. I know where it is.
Yep.
Cool. But this one's almost here. Better do that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of everything in terms of critical tasks. You know, breaking down, like, can I do one thing that can eliminate a lot of things? You know, and then are these like, you know, temporary fires? Are they permanent? And you just start to break things down. You look at things and you go, like you said, is it urgent? And if I do it today, does it really matter? Is it going to matter in a year? Is it going to matter in like a month or 5 years? And you just realise it's not going to cause any issues. It's not going to cause a headache. But then you think, okay, what can I do today that can address those problems? And that's what you as a business owner would do, right? You would, and I think that's the biggest switch for me is knowing that you got to trust people to do it. Yeah, they might not do it as well as you want to do it, but hey, 80% done, still good. Still damn good. 20%.
Better than none, right?
Yeah, better than none. Yeah.
Which is what would happen if I had to do it on top of all these other things,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. You know, they don't let go. I mean, letting go was a big thing, and that also creates another set of stress. But that stress over time, I feel like relieves as you train other people to do what you were doing initially.
How did you let go? That's a biggie. And let go of what?
So I was letting go of small things. So I look at all the tasks, and I just said one day, okay, if I'm doing, let's say bookkeeping, you know, you want to look at the numbers and whatnot. Can you pay someone to do it? Yeah, you can. You pay a bookkeeper, you know, and then next thing, okay, after that, you have that all sorted. Next thing is payment of the bills. Okay, who can you trust to? And you start letting go of little things. And for me, it was the big ones were inventory. That was always a massive one. You know, you're buying inventory. Okay, how do I plan for the inventory? How can I articulate these? You know, how do I buy? You know, how much to buy? You know, so you don't burn a hole into your business.
Yep.
And then you gradually train someone. You just train one thing at a time, one product at a time. And then as they get better, you can explain to them how you think about things. And then it was just a gradual thing that I let go of. The inventory management is a big part of the business, but hey, it was the biggest stress relief ever. At the beginning, it definitely wasn't stress relieving because you think, my goodness, you know, I could do this. I'll just do this again. But that's always the hard part, that you know you could do it, but you got to trust someone else to do it. And I think part of that is one day, you know, if you keep going the way, I imagine it as if you kept going the way you're going, you're going to burn out. You know, would you be excited doing this? Definitely not. But someone else is going to be damn good at it. And that's what you do. That's where you got to like learn to let go of these things. They might not be good at the beginning. That's okay. It's part of the process. And you just solve it one day at a time.
So let's see if we can get some key learnings here.
Yeah.
And I'll put a couple of statements on the table to see if you agree. Finding a person to say, you're going to solve that whole problem, I can just give it to you, is a myth. They can be a great person, they can fit, they can understand inventory. They're not going to do it like you want it. So it's going to be done over time.
Yep.
So So don't build yourself an expectation
That's right.
that, I'm going to hire Alan because he knows inventory. It's going to solve this problem. I can go off and concentrate on the things I need to do, and the business is going to be awesome. Let's go.
Yeah. Definitely not.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment,
Yeah,
aren't you?
absolutely.
I've done that a few times in my life too, and I go, it's not
Absolutely.
real.
Definitely not real. It takes so long. It takes longer than you expect. And that's something that people don't really appreciate, that it takes a long time. You know, the first buying decision, we've had a few errors. We've actually, I should say, plenty of errors. But that's how you get better, because you find out those mistakes and you realize, okay, that can happen. I didn't think of that possibility. How am I going to fix it? You know, how am I going to fix those issues? And that's your role as a business owner. And if these problems keep persisting, well, maybe you're not training right, or maybe that person's not right. But you always have to think back to, how did I instruct that person to say buying decisions? What led them to those decisions? And that was always the hard part. And the amount of letdowns that you have, plenty. That's where the stress comes from. But hey.
So another thing to be aware of in this is, while you're still operating the business, that new person is going to suck your time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, I'm going to hire Alan. Everything's going to be great. I'm going to have more time. No, I'm afraid not, my dear friend. You're going to have less time.
Yep.
And unless you're willing to put the time and energy in, Alan's not going to get where you need Alan to be.
That's right.
In a hell of a hurry. Alan might be awesome and work it out for himself,
Yep.
but you're going to be disgruntled because the number of mistakes are going to be higher.
Yep.
And along the way, you lose the opportunity to build the processes around what you're discovering Alan is suffering from.
Yep.
Like, Alan didn't know we did it like this, and the reason is da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, crap, didn't realise that, so I did what I used to do in inventory and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as a business owner, I can build a process around that.
Yep.
Because what if Alan leaves tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right? That happens too.
That happens,
Alan
yeah.
is a gun, and he brought all this knowledge, and it's cool, and we're building this process because I didn't know that either. Alan didn't know this bit, but now I can build this guardrail.
Yep.
But I thought, Alan's awesome, he'll look after it, which he did, and then 6 months down the track, one of the big suppliers offered him 3 times as much because they can afford it. Alan is awesome, so Alan left.
Yep.
Haven't learnt from Alan except what he told me and what I saw.
That's
There are
right.
no new processes in place. I've got to start again.
Absolutely. You nailed it on the head, Hanif. You know, and so many people revert back to going back to their own old ways, doing it themselves. You carry that stress. But hey, each time, you know, when you do something new, it's okay. You try and articulate your thoughts of how you did things into a process. It may not be perfect. That's fine. And it'll be 80% right. And then you train that person, and that person's going to add in, you know, their mistakes and what they did, and you continue build out this, you know, SOP. And definitely, the only thing I could say is you got to think of the future, that the amount of time that it will save you in the future.
It's a longer game, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a longer game. Capture the learning, and fortunately, we've got AI tools.
That's
You
right.
can just say blah, 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 and it'll not only record it but make suggestions and be part of the build.
That's
We
right.
never had that.
Never
how
had that luxury.
exciting. That's so cool, man. And it'll save so many tens of thousands of dollars just doing it.
Yep.
So you capture knowledge as you go.
Yep.
Use the AI tools to help you.
Absolutely.
And I always enroll the new person in building it. Recognise I'm time poor. I recognise I need to give you my time and energy. And as much as I say I'm going to do this, I'll do it 50%. That's just how it's going to be.
That's how it is, yeah.
So with my new employee, I share that. This is how it's going to be because I've got all these other things and I'd like to think I could do it this way. That's not even true.
Yep.
So let's go into this relationship knowing that's the situation. I need you to bring this to the table. You need to be reporting to me. I'm not going to be asking you.
Yep.
I always like that, by the way,
Yep.
because it makes them think and become more responsible and accountable. Why? Because they've got to come and tell me the results, not me, look. You can't hide because
That's right.
let's agree on what you need to tell me so I can see that you're successful, so I can build trust to just let it go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can't.
Yeah.
Can you help me with it? So my new people, they report up. And I say, we're going to make some mistakes together. Let's be at peace with that.
Yep.
Provided that we capture the learning and we bake it into a process.
That's right. That's right.
Now, can we talk about how we're going to do that? Well, more importantly, how you're going to do that. Because I'm going to have input, but you're going to do it.
Yeah. That's the important thing as a business owner, right? You got to let your employees, you got to let your staff make those decisions, because sometimes they're going to they're going to feel invested, and they're going to want to be part of that solution, right?
And really, we do want them to make decisions, right? Otherwise, it's all on our shoulders again.
Yeah.
So if I can, I feel I need to trust you. So how are we going to build that trust for me to let go? How do I know that the key things that are really important in inventory are getting done? And we're not going to accidentally sink our cash flow in 2 months' time and we didn't see it coming? How do I know we remain compliant and we don't get stuck with $1 million of stock on the shelf that we cannot get rid of?
Yep.
You know, they're really important things, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
How do we... So if I've hired a gun, normally they are a gun.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean they don't need input.
That's right.
Doesn't mean that they're going to guess what we're thinking. Doesn't mean they're great at building trust or even understand that that's what we need. So a great reflection. I feel like this is a podcast. I've got you on as a guest and I'm talking.
Yeah, this is so good.
Makes it easy on you, doesn't it?
No, this is awesome.
I think this is just a joint learning. That's how I'm framing it to make myself feel better about it. But
No, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
I think with it's an interesting people thing. Now I've lost my train of thought. Oh, gosh. It'll come back. The gun people, and there are great gun people and they want to contribute. We don't take the time as business owners to value the importance of calmly, in a space of time, communicating and articulating clearly what's important. A really good gauge of this for me is, when I interview a person, if I think, actually, I like Alan, this could be good. Our interviews go for well over an hour. We might sit there for 2 hours on the first interview. Because then I'll go away and think, you'll do some stuff, I'll ask you to do some stuff, and then we'll come back for round 2.
Yeah.
And I invest the time because I understand that if Alan's a gun and we communicate really well, and you really do understand what I'm talking about, but it takes time for me to understand,
Absolutely.
Does he understand?
Absolutely.
Right? Unless I invest that time up front, I'm going to get all excited, hire Alan, and then I'm setting us both up for disappointment. Now, it might work out in the end, but it's going to be really messy and ugly in the meantime, in the beginning bit, and it's going to cost a shitload of money.
Yep.
And I could have prevented that if I'd spent 2 or 3 or 4 hours up front and perhaps came to the conclusion at the end of that, maybe actually this isn't a good idea. And it may not be Alan that's the problem, it might be me.
That's right. Absolutely. And you've got to be willing to put in that time. Something I still remember the first employee that I hired. You think, oh, Hanif, he says he can do it, so I just let him do it. And you think that you let them do it, and things are going well. And then the weight's on Hanif's shoulders, and then before you know it, they leave because they also feel like you're just dumping all the weight on them. And then you have a huge hole in your business when you leave because you didn't create those processes right. As a business owner, you've got to be willing to put in the time, like as if you put in time into starting the business. But a lot of people don't have the energy to keep going. They can't endure that whole ride of you're going to make mistakes, and they blow up when they make a mistake, and it's so normal. I can't think of a time when my staff hasn't made a mistake, and I've gone, geez, I look back, I could have added that in and told them that would have saved yourself $1 million. And it's just from you not articulating and just voicing, what you're trying to build and how you want it to be built. You just taking the time to think about these things, and I think essentially it's the architecture of things. You got to think of the grand scheme, with like the bigger picture. What do you want to build? And then you start thinking, how am I going to build it? And the first round that you're going to build it isn't going to be what you think it is, and that's okay. But so long as you articulate to whoever you're training, they understand that that's what you're trying to achieve, and they will work their magic into helping you build out whatever you wanted to build, whatever you stated. And if your vision was small, chances are they're going to leave because they're going to think, there's not much room for growth here. That's also the other thing. I think, when you hire a gun, they're a gun, but if you don't give them the room to grow, they also go as well because they think that there's no opportunity. It's a delicate balance.
You can't have all guns in a business, can you?
That's right.
And that's boy, is that a discussion. What happens, or what has happened for you when you're at that stage in your business, you're going 50 million miles an hour, you've got to hire some people. You go, how the hell am I going to keep doing this because it's important, and the revenue and the profit's important right now because we can't afford not to have it, it's that point in the business.
Yep.
And I've got to hire this person, and I'm already working 14 hours a day. I can't squeeze out another 2.
Yeah.
I'm on the brink of burnout already.
Yep.
What did you do? You must have had that time.
Definitely.
How did you do it? What did you do?
I think one of the big things is identifying, before you get to that point. So this is coming back to awareness and realizing that where's your time been spent. So every month I actually go and have a look at where my time's actually spent. What am I spending my time doing? And before it was packing, it was packing pallets, packing things into boxes. They're like $1 tasks to the business. And if you're meant to be doing $1 million tasks, you're just hurting your business $999,000, And you got to identify these things. And those are the things that grow your business, not the $1 task, but the $1 million and then those $10 million tasks. And that's what I kept doing.
But how did you satisfy the need for the business to have the revenue and the profit? Because if nobody packs a box, doesn't get shipped, customers are not going to pay you. You don't have money in the bank.
That's right.
So how did you go about maintaining the flow of cash and then finding a person and spending time with them?
Yeah, so initially it's just so for me, like to say the packing example, packing was a big thing that took a lot of time, and you're going to hire someone. And yes, you're going to have to put in extra time, and certainly you're going to put in those 14-hour days at the beginning and more to train whoever you're doing. But you got to also think about your future, that if you don't do it today, what would it cost you in the future? And that's where it really hit me, and it got to me because I realised if I kept doing this, I'm going to cost the business more than if I didn't spend that time. And the managing cash flow, that's a whole other issue. Managing your revenues and ensuring your pricing is correct, etc. But I think you as an owner, you already dug deep before. It's well within you to get out of your way to train someone. And that frees up a bit of time. It would take, a bit of time. Might not, it could be a simple task. And if it's a simple task, you let, for instance, packing, you have standards of packing. You articulate how you pack, how it should look, what needs to be done. And then that frees up a pocket of time. And then remember, you got to do other things that fill up that. You might have other things that fill up that part of the time. And you start breaking your tasks into more and more. These are $1 tasks, these are $10 tasks, these are $1,000 tasks, and you work on each part as you go along. And it's just essentially trying to drop those $1 tasks in the business. That's they're costs to the business, but you think of it as an investment, and because if you don't do those tasks, the business is going to go to shambles. Because it's those little holes that gets poked in your boat. It eventually sinks. So you go fix them.
Mm. So I have a great deal of empathy for people in business who are just going hard to maintain cash flow. And especially if they've got a family, it doesn't leave time for saying, hire someone and spend a lot of... that's not realistic.
Yep.
You can't. So I might throw this on the table. If you're in a business, you're working your backside off to maintain cash flow, and you're not in a position to spend more time to hire someone, or you're scared of hiring someone because how do I afford it? Maybe your pricing model's wrong or not sustainable.
Definitely.
That's a real thing. It'd be hard to face, but it could be that you assess, I'm not charging enough, but I can't because the market that I operate in is priced here.
Yep.
If I price up here, which makes it all affordable, that's great on a spreadsheet, no one's going to pay me.
That's right.
They're only going to pay here. And then the only way I can see, well, there's a couple of options. One is you go, how do I, and maybe using AI, there's got to be some ways, re-engineer the business itself so that at that price level it becomes profitable. And if I can't, I wonder whether I just operate as me, take it down a notch, and I'm okay. And there's less stress. It's relying on me. I know it's cool. Or I had someone last week looking at all their numbers and what they're going through, it's stress to the max. And the conclusion was, you know what, you'd make more money going working for BHP with less stress, and then you've got family time and all the things you want. Why are you even doing this?
Yeah.
That was a hard conversation.
Yeah. Speaking of which, when you mentioned about pricing, so many people that I know underprice. And I think that, battling to the bottom is the way to go. And sometimes you just got to realize that's not your game. You got to realize that's what, you got to realize what you're good at. And like you said, sometimes you're going to price too high. And that's okay. You got to test it. You got to test those boundaries. We always test with our dynamic pricer, what's the maximum price people will buy? How many people buy it? what's the volume like? And we just keep cutting down by like a couple of cents each time, just testing at different points. And you find that balance. But that's what you got to do. You know, it's hard to, sometimes people, you know, they don't realise the costs have escalated, you know, for us, like say cost of freight, cost of, you know, labour, you know, even rent and all those things. People don't price that into their models. And it took us a while to identify that there's some lines, the product lines, that just weren't profitable. They're not worth dealing with. But you got to keep an eye out on those. Can you price them higher so that now it becomes profitable? And I know there's competition and there's people who always like charge lower. But you've got to take it to, as a business, like you've got to take it to the maximum price that you can without, you know, inflicting too much debt, you know, without inflicting too much damage on the business. And treat all these things as experiments. Like, I think the business is a whole series of experiments that you go along the way. You have your own like thesis of how things would work, and you see if it works. That's what we were doing when we first started. You know, I remember people calling us like rednecks of the industry because we actually didn't know how things worked. I didn't know how to negotiate like exclusive distribution rights. Did I know? I don't know. I just went in and essentially winged it, you know, and you find out and you learn, okay, sometimes you're going to get screwed over. That's okay. And you take those lessons again, you know, and don't beat yourself up over it. That, hey, it's part of business, part of life. You're going to experiment. You're going to lose some. You're going to win some. And that's what people aren't willing to do. I see so many businesses when I look at their, you know, the prices. I'm like, geez, you guys could charge more, but you don't. And that's where, you know, that stress also comes from because you don't have enough margin to be able to support an employee or hire someone to take on those roles for you. And it's a strange place, you know, when you're in that part of the business, when you're starting up and you don't have the time, you don't have the money. Yeah, you've sometimes you just got to rejig your levers and learn to pull, maybe try experiment with different things.
Do you think there's also an element of, I call it survival mode. When we start out, if you start with nothing, like you are seriously in survival, like every dollar counts, right?
Yeah.
I don't care who the customer is, I'm taking them. Why? Because I might make $3, which will give me fuel to put in the van for,
right.
I've started a business like that, $20, right? Yeah. My job tomorrow was predicated on I can get there in the van today, which will give me fuel to put in the van to go that next one. And the third one, actually, there's a really good return. We're talking a couple of $100.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yay!
Yeah.
You know, but that's survival mode.
Yeah.
And in that first business, I reflect back and I go, that grew really quickly. And it wasn't that long until it was successful. I just put my heart into it.
Yep.
People loved that.
Yep.
I was still in survival mode years later. So my thinking hadn't caught up with where my business was, and the pricing thing came too. Because I thought, I've just got to be cheap, and I don't think my relationship with money was that good. Probably thought it was, but I don't think really it was.
Yeah.
And so it took me a while to put my prices up. I put them up by a lot. And nobody blinked an eye, or maybe two people. But they, you know what, they sucked more of my time. They were people really, and I know at the time I needed them because I was in survival mode. I didn't need them later.
Yeah.
And then I put my prices up again.
Yep.
And then I was the most highest priced in the industry. But that was the only way I could afford all my staff and all the other stuff I was doing.
Yeah.
And people were paying the price. I won't say they were happy to pay. They're happy with the result,
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't like parting with money, but what it meant is I actually could deliver something better to them, because I can never build value back to a client if I don't have any cash in the business. Because I can't invest in new things. I can't experiment with stuff that I can then take to them and go, hey, check this out. Whoa, look at that.
Yeah.
If I don't have time and money, I can't do anything.
That's right.
So I'm trapping myself. I trapped myself.
Yeah. I think every business goes through this. And they're always too scared to raise prices or not have enough margin to experiment. But you gotta have the guts to. Well, I shouldn't even say it's guts. It's normal. I think it's normal, but I could be wrong. I mean, I think back to my mum and dad when they started their business. They were too scared to raise prices even by 50 cents. I said, don't be afraid. Raise it up by like double. People aren't going to, there's going to be people who complain. Yeah, absolutely. 100% that there will be people who will tell you, oh, that's rot, whatever. Those are not the customers you want anyway, because they're the ones most likely to pain in the ass, But like, in survival mode, you're going to take whatever you get.
And I think you have to. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Coming from that background, I go, I get it.
Absolutely.
Where I broke it and broke the chain, and I still do this with some of our clients in finance now. We sit down and look through the P&L. We go, all right, I don't think you're right in bringing up sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes they're scared of raising, losing customers. But one way we found to overcome that is to look at, all right, well, what are your margins? And can you afford to do what you need to do for your family? Can you afford to hire staff? How are you building value in your asset? Because right now your business is worth nothing. Who would buy it for a profit which is less than a wage they make?
Yep.
Which is basically what you're doing, right? All your customers make more money than you do.
Yeah.
And work less.
Yep.
And have holidays. You don't.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Yep.
And there's a logical part of people's brain which kicks in when you just run it really simply and go, well, if you increase your margin here, here's what happens to the bottom line. That's your money. Yep. And it also means if somebody bought this business, now there's value for them. Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. What could you do to increase that margin? They go, well, we could increase the price here, but we probably could change this a bit, change that process. Okay.
Yep.
What could you do to increase it to this margin, which allows you to employ somebody that'll free you up? Oh, we could, it's that very logical, slow, rational thinking.
Yep.
And then there becomes a why I'm increasing the price, the justification, which makes them feel more comfortable to go, I know why the price needs to be that. And it's not, I have to raise my prices. No, I know why my price needs to be that.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It cannot be 50 cents. It has to be $1.50.
Yeah.
Because if it's not $1.50, this and this and this doesn't happen, and it's not worth it.
That's right. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Hanif.
Sometimes you need somebody outside of yourself to talk you through it. I'm a great believer in people in business. They actually do have the answers.
Yep.
But they're sitting in the grey matter somewhere, and all your stresses and concern are on the things today.
Yep.
But
Yeah. Well, I love putting this through Claude and getting it to analyse each line. I love doing that. And you just see what it can do, asking it different questions. It's literally like an external advisor, non-emotional, just telling you, you need to raise prices for this, decrease costs for that, and there you have it.
it's a wonderful tool, isn't it?
It is.
And we never had it, so everybody now in business has access
Yeah.
to this amazing technology that you can just go blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
and it'll come back unemotionally and say, well, here's how it is, dude.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you think? And you can give it all the nuances, and that's why I say business owners know, because they know, yeah, but if I do that to Alan, he's my biggest customer, I know he's not going to like it. He has to look elsewhere.
Yep.
You could ask, well, what other value add could I give to Alan? This is his situation. And sometimes Claude will come up with an answer and go, didn't think of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
you've got your way, right?
Yep. That's right. You know, and even just like even processes, you know, things that you do day in, day out of the business, like admin tasks, are the things that you could tell AI to, or start programming AI to do. You can do so many things. Yeah, it'll be slow. I won't forget the first day when he was filling out a commercial invoice. It took forever. I was watching it for 8 hours. Like, you know, and it's just moving. It's like moving my cursor like to that point and then going click. And I was like, whew, geez. And then paste. You know, just things like that. And eventually it just got so fast. It was just like, oh, blink of an eye. But it's just, yeah, you gotta have that time. You gotta have that time to do it. And sometimes it will be a sacrifice to your family. You know, I'm fortunate enough that when I started the business, I didn't have family then, and that, you know, that gave me plenty of time. When you're single and you're going at it, what else are you going to spend your time on? You know, and I'm lucky that I did. But I can imagine now, you know, with the family I have, I wouldn't be able to take those risks. I could totally understand why people would feel under pressure to not experiment and try different things, because you've got so much on the line. You've got your mortgage, you've got your, you know, kids to think about, and family and whatnot. And I totally get it. But it's just so important that you try and identify the levers in your business. You go, okay, it could be pricing. Can I raise even just a few dollars? Maybe more, 10%. Experimenting and just going, okay, maybe with a new client, instead of charging $100, what you may be initially charging, maybe try $150. Sure, it sounds like a lot, but the new client isn't going to know.
No.
You know? And so you see what their reaction is, and you realise, oh, it's not that bad. And then you just, you know, and you just work your way through in taking it to the maximum that you can. And that's what, you know, when I started, when I was doing the business, is trying to take it to the maximum that I could. And that's all I think about, like trying to maximize the potential of staff, you know, giving it the margins so that you do build an asset. The asset will eventually come if you build it away from you and not seeing it as dependent on you. That it's hard. I totally get it. 10 years of slaving. Well, I shouldn't say slaving, but you know, it
is a 10-year journey though.
It is, yeah.
And it still is a 10-year journey, even though we've got what I call compression happening because of AI. Still, maybe it's not quite 10 years anymore because there's a whole bunch of things we can do quickly. So maybe it's still 5.
Yeah.
But, you know, the one thing I come back to when I'm sitting down and thinking about it is the one commodity that we can't buy, which is most precious, is time.
Yep.
It's not money.
Yeah, it's definitely not money.
Money gives you choice.
That's right.
That's all. Money gives you choices.
Yeah.
You cannot buy your time back.
That's right.
So what are you spending it on?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you just, there's no judgment in that. You spend it on whatever you value, but what are you spending it on? And if you're running yourself in circles, say you're wasting the hours you've got left on the planet, do you really want to be doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, and your time is that currency, and you gotta make every second count.
So it's, to me, the game is actually about 2 things. One is give me the money so it opens up choice and possibility. Mostly give me my time back. So the idea of the business is you problem solve, you provide value to other people, then you get other people in that business to run it and operate it, to give you back your time.
Yeah.
And then you've got cash flow from your business that gives you money and therefore choice. So you've got that's the thing.
Yeah.
But there's that price to pay. It's not for everyone, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's not the answer. It's an answer
Yeah.
for people who have the
and
the drive to do it.
Yeah, look, there's plenty of things to do, and business isn't it's a vehicle to get to, wherever you want to go, and there's plenty of people who are working, a job that can get them there as well, but you've got to now make your money work for you, and that's what people might not realise, that when you're in the business, there's a lot of things on your mind. There's a heavy price to pay at the beginning, and for a lot of people, it's for a long time. I'm not going to deny that. And I think back to my parents. They worked, I didn't really get to see my dad until I was probably like in my 20s. But by that time when, I started my business, that's when I started seeing him, because I think he felt a sense of relief that, hey, Alan's got it. Alan's on his own path. And, seeing him for good longer than, before I was born, working the business. And, me telling him to put up the prices, he was like, nah, I can't do that. I got to do it myself. And I just think, geez, how much time could I have saved for my dad if I could educate him? It's okay. You got to test out. You got to test out, new pricing. Yeah, it's freaking, it's so interesting. There's so many different ways you can go about business, and it isn't for everyone. I'm not going to say it's you got to do it. There's plenty of positions out there that you just got to learn to make use of. Make use of your time and money to buy back that freedom for you.
Yep. So we've had the pleasure of seeing you go from a journey of bones of your backside, eating tuna out of a can, to really you've been bought out. I won't declare what for, but a significant amount. But you've built a little empire. So great. What are a few things that you share with us for the people who own businesses and are on the journey to say, yeah, actually at some point I would like to sell? What would you say?
I think if you're planning to sell, I think you have to really start thinking about the points that can break your business, and you've got to start identifying how you're going to put people in place so it's not dependent on you. And I think that's a longer term vision. Like if it doesn't just say, you don't just say, I'm going to sell my business tomorrow, that you can just sell your business. Like the whole process, it uncovered a lot of things, even a lot of holes in the business that you think you've built systems for. And there's plenty of other things that you still need to rectify. But if you just start that process of thinking, okay, how am I going to put together systems and procedures in place for certain tasks, so it's not about you, then that's how you start building a sellable business. But it's a journey, and I can tell you it's been a couple of years in the making. Redesigning the business, rejigging the way things are done, so that it doesn't just, I'm not the breaking point. I think back to, all the decisions that I make. Yeah, hiring people, but if they left, can the next person take on that role? And that part has been a game changer for me, and realizing that I could hire anyone. They should be able to read and understand the procedures, and going, okay, I can do that. And That's what keeps the business going. And it never ends. There's always more. But, you know, I think you as a business owner, you start planning for it. If you plan to exit, okay, what would the exit look like? How much is there a number that would excite you? You know, that would allow you to do other things that you really wanted to do. And yeah, for me, it was the number wasn't that big, but it was just like I can live a pretty cushy lifestyle, you know. And I identified, okay, that's all I need. And then just started building out putting people in place so that I'm not there. And then it was nice when, you know, they're in the business for 2 days a week and you can see, can it still run without you? And it gradually went down to 1 day and then see if there's no days, see if it's possible. And, you know, I'm still keeping tabs on it, to not saying that I'm not there, but I was driving more the strategy of the business and going, okay, I think there's opportunities elsewhere. It takes a while.
Yeah, it does. But it's reverse engineering, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
What do I want?
Yep.
What's my number? And why would somebody pay?
Yep.
I think the why would somebody pay for that
Yeah.
is often a missing link.
Well, that was the hard part that I couldn't see until I spoke to you, actually, Hanif. And I was like, someone would buy me for the easy access, you know, distribution. Why wouldn't you? And it didn't click. It didn't really click to me that, yeah, you when you're in business, you may want to take over another business so that you get easier distribution channels that someone's already put in the hard work for. And so you're essentially buying that time, saving you that time to go do it. Yeah, you know, a competitor might be able to do it, but they're going to have to spend another 10 years building out what I've built.
It's like compression, isn't it? And that's valuable.
Yeah.
That is value.
Yeah. And that part I didn't really understand until I thought about it myself. Like, there's things around the house that you could do, you know, there's DIY projects. But would you want to do it? Or would you pay someone to do it and save you that time and stress of worrying, you know, are you going to do a good job? Someone's going to do it bang on perfectly for you. So why wouldn't you pay for their services to do it for you know? And it's just thinking, okay, I already do this in my life. You actually do it everywhere in your life. You know, you're paying for things. When you go out when you go out and eat out, for instance, what are you essentially doing? You are paying for the experience if you're going for a nice restaurant. But when you're eating out, you're paying someone to, you know, cook for you a nice meal, having someone serve you. And that in itself is you're paying for service. And that's what you're doing in business. Like you're taking away someone's stress. You know? I would say that most people just keep it simple. You know, try and dial back the business and think about the building blocks of the business. It's so important that you identify, okay, these are the blocks, these are the main drivers. These are what I spend most of the time on. And is there opportunities that someone could access? Yeah, for us, it was the Latin American market. Yeah, I've given that opportunity to someone else to grow. It's whether they want to execute on that. And if they don't, that's fine. But I've given them access to, you know, to the US, to UK and Europe. Why wouldn't you pay for it?
And the answer is they will pay for it.
Yeah. And I spent 10 years doing it, figuring out how to do it. And you figure out how to do it, and someone's like, yep. Someone's taking that huge stress from you.
So, again, thanks, Alan. I think if anybody owns a business and they want to probably share a few stories, understand some of the mindset and work towards viewing the business as an asset and something that's got value that someone else will pay for, this conversation is almost perfectly built because that's exactly what you've done.
Thanks, Hanif. Appreciate it.